Jeez, oh man. What the heck is going on up there? Oh my god, that needs fixed. Alright, just roll the intro. I ain't getting back my coordination. Gee, alright. That TikTok dance tutorial? No. Fortnite training? No. Come on, man. You're better than gamer rig, are ya? You want a nice PC that you can play the old video games on, do ya? You got all the parts picked out, do ya? Nice little battle station, eh? Huh? Yeah? We're gonna play some games. Get a little bit of Fortnite going, a little bit of Call of Duty, maybe, huh? Yeah. We got all of our parts picked out, yeah. However, I bet you cheaped out on one vital component though, because you wanted more FPSs, and you put more money into that graphics card, didn't ya? Maybe you got some RGB lights, huh? Yeah? That'll give you some more FPSs, huh? But, there we go, that's more like it. Uh-huh, that's what you ended up with. A cheap, no-name incorporated 100 plus whatever is better than titanium with all the watts power supply that is definitely guaranteed to make your system go boom. So, what is the importance of your power supply, and why is it so vital that you do not end up with one of these? Well, for that question, I guess first we need to explore what a power supply is. So, with that being said, get that rubbish out of here and let's talk about it. So, why is it important then that you do not end up with one of these to supply your new battle station? Well, I guess for that we need to explore what is a P.S.U. or power supply. It's just a square box that plugs into the wall, plugs into your computer, ain't it? And just supplies power? Well, technically yes. But the way that it does that and the components inside of it is what matters. So, a power supply is, okay, the electricity in your home is AC power, okay, which is alternating current. And what it does is it goes to the source and then it loops back. Alright, well your PC cannot have that because it needs to use the power. Alright, and it needs it more structured. So, what this does is it actually converts that AC power to DC power, which is direct current. Alright, and it does that with the use of a transformer, diodes, and capacitors. Okay, and what direct current is, it is a straight path of power. Okay, it does not loop back. Alright, so what this does is through that transformer, it lets it have a direct path to your computer, and that's where it stays. Hey, past tense, Casey. You could have got a little bit deeper into the process of how this works, huh? That was pretty vague. This is supposed to be a video diving a little bit deeper. I don't know what the hell that was that you were saying. So, I'm going to go just a little bit deep. Now, mind you, it is so much deeper even than what I am about to tell you. But, okay, so, usually power supplies, they're referred to as a switching power supply unit, okay? And because through the use of the internal components, it actually switches the power, okay? It switches the AC to DC. Most commonly, it switches it to 12 volts, 5 volts, and 3.3 volts. Also now, there's the new standard of 12 volt 2.0, which also you do want to see if you have a newer graphics card, you want to make sure that your power supply has a 12 VO connector, which most new ones do and are able to handle the new 2.0 standard. Alright, but most commonly those are your 12 volts, 5 volts, and 3.3, which is actually on the label on the side of your power supply if it's a good unit. Alright, so aside from the defining factor of the P.S.U, alright, the defining factor is in wattage. Obviously, you know, you need a 600 watt, a 1000 watt, or 9,000 watt, as we've seen in that one cheap model. That was obviously a joke. Alright, so what is a watt? A watt is a measurement that defines how much something needs to operate. Okay, so I guess think about it like this. Alright, you have a very heavy object in your house that you just cannot lift up by yourself. You cannot do it without another person. Hell, maybe you need 3 more people. Okay, so it takes 4 people, 2 people, however many, more than yourself. It takes that many to lift that object, at least to lift it. Yeah, more can do it, okay, but it at least takes 4 people four people to lift that object, okay? That is how your computer is defined kind of in wattage, alright? If it states that all your components together, they all need 600 watts, well, it cannot operate without that defined as 600 watts, okay? And that is what a watt is. How much it needs to do what it is specified to do. Alright, so how is that configured though? Okay, a watt is configured by multiplying the voltage by the current, which is also known as your amps. Alright, so a standard home has ding, ding, quit it Windows. I'm trying to do something here. So a standard home, alright, has an output of 110 or 220 in some countries at 60 hertz, alright, which hertz, as we probably know, is the cycles of something per second. So 60 hertz at 110 volts. Okay, well, 110 volts is way too much, especially it's an AC power. That's not, our computer can't do that. It'll go boom, everything will fry. And so what you have internal is you have your transistors that switch that 60 hertz to a much higher frequency, alright, which is specific to that unit, alright, but it's much higher than 60 hertz. And then it sends it off to your transformer, alright, and what your transformer does is the actual step down process to your 12 volts, your 5 volts, your 3.3 volts, alright. And then the transistors that actually do the conversion of the AC to the DC power. Now that it is stepped down to the 12 volts, 5 volts, alright, it needs converted to DC power, because like we know, AC power scattered all over the place, it goes back and forth, alright, and our computer needs a straight path. So your transistors actually do the conversion to DC. Alright, now you AC to DC. Then they start playing Highway to Hell. No, obviously. Alright, little reference there. Alright, but then finally you have your capacitors. Alright, and what they do is they help maintain this voltage by storing it. They equal out any electrical noise or dips in power. In other words, what they do is they regulate the switch power to keep it consistent. Alright, I'm going to sub in for a second just for context and another lesson, being that those caps actually say bad, bad, and good. Alright, so just for the reasoning behind that, the reason that those ones are bad is if you look at the top of them, how they are poofed up and they're kind of more rounded, and then the good one is still flat. That is actually how you can tell if cap is bad or not. If it is poofed up like that, it is definitely bad. Alright, continue on. You're doing a good job, KCB. Alright, our computer needs a consistent, if it's a 12 volt rail, it needs a consistent 12 volt rail. It can't have a bunch of fluctuations in it. So that's what our capacitors do, is they help regulate and maintain that 12 volts. They maintain the electrical noise. Alright, and they do that by storing it in there, so that way it can give oh my god, Windows, what is your problem? Alright, and now obviously during this process, you got all this switching, all this storing, all this regulating, it's going to get hot. Alright, so a good power supply has a nice solid aluminum heatsink with a fan to help get that heat away. Okay, and that is where your 80 plus rating comes from. Alright, well hopefully that was a little bit deeper and a little bit more educational than what that other guy was trying to explain. Alright, so 80 plus ratings, why are they important then? Alright, you always want to get a power supply, which if it is a named power supply, it will have an 80 plus rating, okay? So 80 plus ratings, such as these, alright, during the transfer of electricity when the conversion happens from AC to DC, it is a hot process. That is actually why there's a fan inside of your power supply. Alright? And during that conversion, some of that power is lost due to heat dissipation, alright, because it is so hot. So what that 80 plus rating means, as long as it has at least an 80 plus rating, that means that you are getting at least 80% of that power out of this box to your rig. Alright? However, with a no-named, such as this, you are not getting that. Who knows what you're getting? Alright? They cheap out on transformers. Some of them don't even have half of it. Alright? So so you want to make sure that you have an 80 plus rating. Alright? It actually goes up to a 94% rating. Alright? As you can see on the chart, alright, the load, depending on the load, is what matters how much that you are getting. So that 80 plus rating, whatever that number is how much of the DC power you are actually getting that is being supplied. Okay? And that is what a power supply is, and that is why it is so important that you do not cheap out on your power supply and want to get a named unit. I will actually throw a couple on the screen with names. Are a couple big named power supplies that are highly recommended. Okay, so now with that being said, and now that we learned what a power supply is, how do you know which one you need? Okay, well, first you want to start with a P.S.U calculator, such as the one right here. Alright, and as you're on the calculator, it'll have you enter, you see, enter your CPU, enter your GPU, enter how many drives you have, any fans, etc. And it will tell you what the wattage for your system is recommended. Alright, now you always want to leave yourself some headroom. So if it says 650 watts, okay, yes, in theory you can get a 650 watt power supply and you will be good. But you always want to leave yourself some headroom for future proofing. I know that is a very big word that is thrown all over the place in the PC game. But with a power supply, I mean, you don't have to, but in theory it is always recommended to. That way you only gotta buy it once. Alright? You know, as PC builders, we're always looking at new parts or always thinking about an upgrade, whether it's years down the road. Alright? And that's what's good about a named power supply. Me, I always use Seasonic power supplies. I stand by them. I know I am not sponsored by them, but I stand by them 100%. And they come with a 7 to 10 year warranty. So, if you get a power supply that is 1,000 watts and your system currently only needs 650 watts, well, now you have 10 years of warranty on that power supply for any upgrades, even if it's 5 years down the road. Alright guys, well, now that we got all the nerdy stuff out of the way, we got all of the technical terms, everything out of the way, now hopefully you are aware of why you should not cheap out on your power supply, a little more insight of what it is and what it does. With that, there are only a few last couple terms about power supplies that I did not cover. And one of those is modularity. You have modular, semi-modular, and non-modular, which I will throw pictures up of the difference. Basically, fully modular is all the wires, cables, and connectors disconnect. Semi-modular, they all do but your ATX motherboard, 24-pin power connector, and then non-modular, none of them disconnect like the cheap unit that I showed in the beginning. Alright, now the only other last terminology to power supplies that I'm aware of is form factor, alright, which is your ATX, your SFF, which your SFF or SFX are your small form factors. You'll know if you need those. If I am having to explain those, then you don't need one. You'll just need a basic ATX size power supply, which I will also throw on the screen, the difference between those. So with that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like, subscribe. Definitely subscribe. I need all the support to continue to do this and bring you guys insight on all things tech related. I'm KCB. There's been about 18 of us within the video. It is 3 a.m. So I'm getting a little tired right now. I've been editing this video for quite some time now. So with that, any comments, put them down in the comment section. Concerns, questions, anything to add, put it down there. And with that, alright. Thank you guys.